Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Vow to Be Fierce podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Cordero, and welcome back. Welcome back. So it is Monday. I am on my morning walk, and I wanted to share some inklings that I had around the imposter phenomenon, otherwise known as the imposter syndrome. Now, there has been a lot of research and studies around imposter syndrome, and the basis of it is basically when someone feels imposter syndrome, they have this fear of being found out at whatever it is that they're doing. And most of the time, I think you can apply this to career or something that they're doing, like a skill. Like when you have this fear of being found out or feeling like a fraud. And this could stem from so many different things. It could be a lack of, not feeling like you're worthy enough, or not feeling like you're skilled enough, smart enough, or that you have what you need to be the thing. And so, imposter syndrome isn't, it's well known. It's not anything that I think everyone kind of knows that term. But if you don't, I invite you to Google, look it up. Like I said, there's a ton out there, and there has been a lot of research showing that it's actually not imposter syndrome, and that it depends on, who you are and how you identify. And people of color experience it in a different way because of the systems, and how the systems are not created for people of color. And so they're made to feel like they're not worthy, or they don't belong in certain spaces, and a lot of workspaces. And I don't want to spend too much time on that because there's so much out there on this. But what I do want to share is what if imposter syndrome, what if it's not real? What if it's not real? And I share this as I share on my own journey. Especially lately, I've been thinking about a lot of the ways that I identify, or that I have identified over the years, and that no longer resonate with me. And so people pleasing, being a people pleaser, I used to say that all the time because it was something that I identified with strongly for many reasons. And then I went on to say recovering people pleaser, because that's what I was working to overcome that. And also recovering. When you're recovering, it's something that always stays with you. And so that's why, and that you're always working on. And so that's why I no longer resonate with that. But then I was thinking about how much I have struggled with that idea of feeling oh, I'm not good enough at what I do, or feeling like a fraud, or I'll be found out, or what I'm saying isn't in alignment with who I really am inside, and all of this BS, because those are all BS stories. Because one thing I will tell you, if you are called to lead in some way, if you are called to a specific area of life, it's for a reason. And when you have dreams, whatever they may be, it doesn't matter. It's if it's to become a mother, or a parent, or to become, I don't freaking know, an astronaut, a neurosurgeon, an athlete, whatever it is, right? And this applies to everything. It's not only about career. But this is the one where I think a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome in that way. When you have a dream on your heart, you have it for a reason. And I'm not talking about what was placed upon you from like your family or like your friends or everyone telling you what you should be doing because you're good at this and you're good at that, and like that would be, that would be really good and you'll be successful. No, I'm talking about the dream on your heart. The one that you wake up thinking about every single day. The one that you think about every night you go to sleep. The one that you think about all day long. The one that you're meditating on all day long. Because if you've been here for a while, you know that I've mentioned meditation. Like, we're always meditating. We're always focusing our thoughts and our energy into something, even when we don't realize it, which is why how we talk about ourselves, how we think about our lives, how we think about other people, all of that matters. Because what we continue to practice over and over and over again becomes part of our identity. And so that's why I laugh when people are like, oh, I'm not a meditation person. And I get it. I totally get it, because some people think that meditation is this thing where you have to like be a monk or be in complete silence and sit with your legs crossed and like, like do some mantra or like be in silence. And it's this idea where everything needs to be still, when that's actually not it at all, because that's not even realistic. In the world that we live in, there's so much noise. There's a lot of noise on the outside. There's a lot of internal stuff that we're experiencing and navigating. So I think there's a lot of pressure when you tell someone like, okay, sit in silence and like don't think about anything or whatever. But I think a lot of that pressure comes from ourselves, because the way I teach meditation, the way I talk about it, the way I experience it, I try to think of it through this lens. Everyone has a different way. Everyone has a different way of learning. Everyone has a different way of processing information. And so meditation, honestly, it's like a beautiful, beautiful tool, because it's when you are intentional with what you choose to think about. It's when you are purposeful with, where am I going to put my energy? Where do I want to put it? And if you notice, if we if we find ourselves meditating on negativity, or if we focus on the wrong things that are going in our lives, or if we keep focusing on the problems instead of solutions, or even trying to figure out why the problem started, if you notice, how do you feel? How does your body feel? How do you feel about yourself? How does your mind feel? It probably feels cluttered. You probably feel overwhelmed. And so I use meditation as a really good tool. And that's basically what it is, a tool. And any tool, like anything else, it's all in how you use the tool. And so everyone is very different. And so if everyone knows, like gets to know what works for them and practices different ways, and then they're like, okay, that works. Okay, that doesn't work for me. Maybe you're walking and like listening to a guided meditation. Or maybe you just want to sit in silence and do like a visualization with like your own visualization with sound bowls playing in the background, right? Or maybe you do need that silence, because there are times where complete silence is needed. And that's normally when, not normally, but sometimes that's really helpful when you're trying to focus on a specific thing and trying to hear what your heart is telling you, trying to tell you, like when you really need to listen to what your body is trying to tell you about a specific thing, then yes, you do need silence. And some people are comfortable with silence and some aren't. But I promise you that once you get really comfortable with just being in your own energy, and practicing that over and over and over again, because we are always with ourselves. It's when we try to run from ourselves that's when we get into a problem. We get into a mess, okay? Because like I always say, we have what we need within us. And so if we start running towards it instead of running away from it, whew. And I'm not saying, oh my gosh, this is the key to all the problems in life. No. But like anything else, I'm always thinking about tools that can help us, because meditation has helped me in so many different ways. Like sometimes I'll put Reiki healing music on like a certain frequency. They have different frequencies for like love. They have different frequencies on like healing, some to break like subconscious patterns. There's a whole bunch out there. So if you are interested in learning more, definitely reach out to me and I can share more. And it's so funny because when I started my walk, I have a bunch of meetings today. When I started my walk, I was like, okay, I only have time for like 10 minutes and like whatever, but I wanted to do this before getting started with my day, my work day, because there is just a lot that I need to get to. And first and foremost, I have to put myself first, and I have to take care of myself. Anyway, so I was like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast, because every time I do a podcast, I record a podcast for my people, I feel so much better. Like honestly, it's like an energy boost. And that's how I know I'm meant to do what I'm doing. And it's how you feel after the thing. Like, how do you feel after being around a certain person? How do you feel around, like, after you watch a certain movie or, like, read a certain book? How do you feel? Do you feel down? Do you feel energized? Do you feel drained? Do you feel, like, inspired? So that's also a really good, like, thing to look out for. So I actually, I did not intend on talking about meditation. And I was like, what do I want to share? I want to share about imposter syndrome, okay? And seeing how actually this ties in really well. Because when you feel like an imposter, and that sounds so intense, right? That sounds so dramatic. But that feeling is very real for many, many people. And it doesn't mean that you're fake. It just means that this is what I'm taking it on as. I think imposter syndrome is when we look outside of ourselves and look outside for the answers and looking outside for a guide as to how we should be or how we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to do the thing. And I say that because if you're just yourself, if you follow what you know to be true for you, if you follow the flow of your heart and your life, and you just show up as you, whatever that may be, in your fullest expression, you're golden. Like, you'll be golden because you can never fail. Because if you fail, okay, you know that like mistakes happen. Like, that's part of life. And then you keep on and you keep going. But you're like, okay, I'm me, so that's cool. All right, I just need to change it up and like figure out what I need to get done or whatever. Then that becomes the battle, which is a lot easier than internally thinking like, okay, this didn't work out because I'm not who I say I am. And maybe I'm not like, I'm supposed to like do what I'm meant to do, even though it feels so good for me. And then when I think too much about it, I'm like spinning my wheels and I feel like shit. Or someone outside of you tells you like, why would you do that? Or like, that's not going to be successful. Or maybe that's not the way for you. Then you do start feeling like maybe it isn't. It's when we start trying to be like someone else that of course you're going to feel like an imposter. Of course. But if you remember that whatever is on your heart, whatever God placed in your life, whatever you're being called to do, Remember, you have that divine within you. You have that love. You come from pure love. That is my belief, and that is what I'm going with. And so, and especially, here's even more things. Especially when the thing that you do brings you joy and you're not hurting anybody, you're not causing harm to all the people. And I share that with a grain of salt, because just because someone is uncomfortable with what you're saying, or just because someone may get offended, that is not causing harm to someone. That is you living in your truth with courage and with kindness. And that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is not to worry about how something will be received. And I share this because that is something that I tremendously, oh my goodness, it's taken over my life for so long, because that's how I lived my life. And that's why I share with you, like, I get it. And for whatever reason, because everyone experiences this in some type of way. I mean, not everyone. No. Maybe they cracked the code and remembered, like, oh, wait a minute. I don't need to feel like I'm somebody else. I don't need to feel like I'm going to be found out, because I am who I am, and that's what it is, and that's it. And how can you be an imposter if you're just being you? You know what I mean? And so that's the fact. Oh my goodness. It feels very freeing to talk about this, because I feel like this is something, and I know for a fact that this is something that a lot of people struggle with, a lot of people. And I'm like, I'm in the, you know, when you're on like the precipice of like feeling like you're over something, you're not totally there yet. You know, it still comes up for me in some way, but I am so not where I used to be. And I love that for me. And so I share this with you because I'm like, yo, don't let anyone tell you, whether it's society, culture, your friends, your family, your partner, whoever, don't let anyone outside of you tell you who you are. When you show up as yourself, it's impossible to be an imposter. Okay? I love you so much. Have a beautiful week. Take care.